hospital hidden camera, a recording device discovered inside of a hospital bathroom. What this warrant reveals about how long it was there and what else was on the video.
A summer 1-2 punch. We're getting hit by rising humidity and storm chances. What to expect on the weekend.
A long-time and beloved WRAL anchor passes away. A look back at the life of Charlie Gaddy.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Haggerty. Before we get started here tonight at 7 o'clock, we should acknowledge the man who I owe a lot to, that a lot of us here at WRAL owe a lot to, a man who helped build this beloved news operation, anchoring newscasts at WRAL for decades. Today, Charlie Gaddy died at 93 years old. And tonight, we're going to talk a lot about his life and legacy and hear from some of the people who knew him well. And later on, we're going to roll through some old clips of him over the years and hear some of the anecdotes Charlie left for us. First, we do want to tell you a little bit about your forecast, though, because it's important tonight. We've seen some storms popping up here and there throughout the afternoon. You can see a little bit of action on the radar right now near Fayetteville and out to our west. Let's go over to Kat. This is what we come to expect, Kat, during these hotter months, and boy, it has been hot.
Yes, today was actually the hottest day of the season so far at RDU. We had 93 for the high. Check this out. It's looking pretty nice at the WRAL studios. You can see a beautiful sunset in the distance here, but things are different depending on where you live. We've got a couple of storms that we're tracking. The bulk of this rain is just outside of our viewing area, closer to Charlotte and toward the South Carolina border. We do have some small showers, though, that we're tracking, and even some thunderstorms. We've got storms moving through Edgecombe County right now, as well as parts of Halifax County. Around Scotland Neck, you've got some storms moving closer, and we've got these showers that have popped up in parts of Hoke, Cumberland, and Moore counties. These are just spotty showers, nothing severe out there today. Over the weekend, we are tracking more storm potential, and we do think that the radar will be a bit more active each afternoon this weekend. It's going to get a lot hotter, and I'll let you know how hot it's going to feel this weekend and when highs could climb back into the mid-90s coming up. All
right, more from Kat soon, but let's turn back now to the life and legacy of this man, Charlie Gaddy, a man who loomed large at this station and in this community. Again, he died this morning at the age of 93, and this afternoon we have heard from so many people who worked with him and looked up to him. WRAL's Aaron Thomas joins us live now. Aaron, it goes without saying that Charlie meant so much to this community, truly a legend, a lot to the people who worked alongside him, and a lot to the folks who watched him for so many years on their TV at WRAL.
Oh, yeah, most certainly, Dan. You know, I can say as someone who's from this area and grew up watching WRAL as a child, I know what it's like to relate to your hometown anchor. You know, Charlie Gaddy was referred to as the Walter Cronkite of North Carolina just for his ability to relate with many of those viewers. Of course, his loss is being felt with those longtime viewers as well as those who worked alongside him inside this building.
And now with the news, Charlie Gaddy. Good evening.
Charlie Gaddy was the face of WRAL News for 24 years. Hired in 1970, his career touched so many lives, and he delivered so many stories.
It was unbelievable when we drove in here. We were coming in here with the firemen and the rescue people at the same time. We were that early.
From the 1988 deadly tornado that tore through Raleigh to the armed takeover of the Robertsonian newspaper, Charlie talked on air with Eddie Hatcher as he held newspaper employees hostage.
Eddie, what is it that you want? What will it take for you to just put the guns down and let those people get out of there? What will it take?
I was nervous. I was awfully nervous about that. And yet, I thought it was important to ask the man what he wanted.
It was an honor to be able to work with him. It was even more of an honor to call him my friend.
Today is painful, but it's also comforting to know that he's with Nancy. I wish I could have thanked him one more time and tell him I loved him one more time, but he knew.
He never talked down to people. He talked as if he was one of the people who was watching, and that was his charm, that was his connection, and that was really what elevated him to the top of the news chain here in our area.
I just feel like I was in the right place. This was what I was supposed to do, and I wanted to do it well.
And Mr. Gaddy's legacy certainly lives on here at WRAL as well as within this community. It's worth pointing out that he was inducted into the Raleigh Hall of Fame back in 2012, not only for his accomplishments within the news business, but also his service and impact within the community. Dan?
Aaron, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So, look, we're not done talking about Charlie Gaddy tonight. We are going to pay homage. We're going to give our respects, our well-earned respects. As I mentioned earlier, we pulled some more clips, some older clips of him from over the years. Tonight's One Last Thing is a message from him about journalism and living in this community. That's near the end of our newscast. Let's shift gears now for just a bit, roll through some of the other big headlines. These are the 5 things you should know right now. A golf cart full of young girls hit a car in Clayton this afternoon. Highway Patrol telling us that 5 girls were in that golf cart. They were driving around a neighborhood, and the girls tried to avoid hitting a car, but flipped the golf cart over in the process. They also hit that car anyhow. One of those girls had to go to the hospital. Investigators didn't have any details on her injuries. Hopefully she's going to be okay. There was another demonstration in Durham this evening against the Trump administration's actions targeting illegal immigrants. About 100 people gathered at the Bull downtown for a peaceful protest. We will have some more video from this. This is in advance of numerous protests planned Saturday across the country that, of course, we will be watching. What a scene on I-85 this morning. This was from Sky 5. A truck flipped, spilled a load of logs at the Granville-Durham County line. I mean, just imagine being behind that vehicle when that happened. A few cars were, in fact, and they were involved in this as well. You can see them off the road there. Traffic backed up for more than 2 miles at one point in both directions as they were closed for that massive cleanup effort. Fayetteville will need a new mayor next year. Mayor Mitch Colvin, who's kind of an institution there, announced he will not run for re-election this fall. He says he wants to spend some more time with his family, spend some more time working on his business. Colvin is the city's longest-serving black mayor. He was elected in 2017 and is serving his 4th term. He was on city council before that. The town of Morrisville has a new chief of police. This is Justin Rosser. He will take over the role on June 23rd. Rosser worked in law enforcement for 21 years. He spent the last 17 years with the Apex Police Department. He's going to replace former chief Pete Acosta.
This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and all new at 7 o'clock. If you are missing a bull, we may have found it for you. Take a look at this wild scene in an Apex neighborhood. That's on Glen Summit Court, which is not too far from Optimus Farm and Lake Wheeler Roads. A bull wandering right through the neighborhood. Homeowner says that they found the bull this morning walking through the neighborhood. Seems to be gentle, and she says that she's got it in the backyard right now. Take a look at some of these pictures from this afternoon. Called Wake County Animal Control, and there really wasn't that much they could do. They said, could it stay here overnight? And hopefully she's going to get some answers about this tomorrow. If you have any information, contact Wake County Animal Control. And she really wants this wrapped up by tomorrow because she has her son's birthday party scheduled Saturday at the house.
I mean, yeah, it's tough to get to the trampoline when there's a 1,000-pound bull in the way.
Yeah.
Holy cow. All right. Yeah, holy cow. Literally. Brian, thank you. In an egregious violation of trust and privacy. That is how Duke University Hospital is reacting now to a pretty wild situation. An employee finding a hidden camera in a bathroom there. WRAL's Monica Casey shows us what was on the video that they found and the hospital's response.
According to this warrant, an employee found that recording device in a bathroom on the 7th floor of the hospital. After she came forward, another employee said she'd seen the same device months earlier. A Duke University Hospital employee noticed a box with latex gloves under the sink in a bathroom in late April. When she moved the gloves, she found what appeared to be a key fob, but after looking more closely, she realized it was a recording device. Police found videos of 3 employees using the restroom that day in late April on the device. More videos from 2 days before were filmed at a physical therapy business by that man, recording the female physical therapist while she was stretching him. Investigators narrowed their search based on
on the man shown in the video, the therapist's customers, and the surveillance video from Duke. According to the warrant, that man was a contract employee who worked for a Duke medical supply vendor. The warrant names that person, but he is not charged right now, so WRAL is not naming him. The document says that his employer analyzed his computer and found files with the first names of the women in the videos, and some of the files dated back months. Another staff member who worked in that same area reported seeing a similar object under the same bathroom sink multiple times over a 3 to 4 month period. In a statement from Duke University Hospital, a spokesperson wrote, quote, "We are providing our full support and resources to the limited number of Duke employees who have all been identified and who have been impacted by this criminal activity." In Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Thanks, Monica. It's such a disturbing story, isn't it? And Duke tells us that the bathroom in question, if you're wondering, is an isolated, single-staff restrooms only, for employee-only restroom, I should say. So a big company is bringing thousands of jobs to North Carolina, investing billions in a new facility, and it kind of feels like something that we have heard before. And you know what? It doesn't always work out, does it? So what makes Jet Zero different beside these sci-fi planes that they're trying to build? Well, they're promising 14,000 plus jobs and nearly $5 billion. So let's talk about what those jobs will be, the timeline for the project, and what happens if the company falls short. From first in flight to the future of flight. That is the quote of the day from Governor Josh Stein, the not so clever catchphrase being used for today's big announcement about Jet Zero. So they're a jet maker that plans to bring 14,500 jobs to North Carolina, specifically to Greensboro, right outside of their airport. And these jets, they look cool, first of all. They're going to be super fuel efficient with the goal of saving airlines a whole lot of money. Maybe that'll mean cheaper tickets, who knows. The state committed $1 billion, though, to secure the nearly $5 billion project. Jet Zero projects that they will grow North Carolina's economy by, get this, $259 billion in the years ahead. Whew, it's a lot of money. It's a big promise. Just one thing, though. Jet Zero has built 0 jets. So you could say that North Carolina's investment seems a bit like a gamble, or does it? I asked WRAL State Government Editor Jack Hagel about that. All right, Jack, 14,000 jobs. That is a lot of jobs, people moving to the community. I mean, that's a big impact potentially.
Well, it takes a lot of people to build an airplane. If you think of anything that's on an airplane, that kind of job is probably needed here, and probably more than one. We're talking thousands of engineers, people who are screwing the planes together, people who are actually developing the materials for the outside of the plane. You name it, that kind of job is probably going to be here.
Why Greensboro? How did North Carolina end up landing this deal? Why did they choose us?
Well, Greensboro has become this sort of aviation and aeronautics hub. A lot of jet manufacturers have come here. Honda started here in the early 2000s. Then you had Boom Supersonic come. Those companies have thousands and thousands of jobs. So you have the expertise in the market. And on top of that, the community colleges here have aviation programs that train airplane mechanics and manufacturers, designers. So if they don't have the jobs here, they can develop them. That's part of the reason why Jet Zero wants to be here.
I'm going to be a little cynical for a moment, because we have seen promises made and then not kept. Famously, Apple said, hey, we're coming, and then they never came. But this reminds me a little bit more of VinFast, a company that was never really established, and they've had a hard time launching their plans here. In this company has never actually completed an airplane before. So do I have a right to be cynical in that way? What do I make of it?
I think with any investment, there's always some risk, and there's probably more risk with a 5-year-old company, as you point out, hasn't built an airplane. But the state has spent a lot of time talking to their investors, talking to their partners. They even talked to the federal government, which has been putting a lot of money into this company. They feel pretty confident that the company is going to actually put something up in the air. So, I think that's part of it. There's also, with incentives like this, the state just doesn't give you the money You've got to hire people, you've got to put the investment in, and then they get the payments. And if they don't do that, they don't get the money.
So what is the timeline? Do we know much about this timeline yet? Because, man, this sounds like a big project.
Well, they hope to get their first demonstrator up in the air by 2027, and then they think within 3 years from that, they can actually be in commercial service. And they may be on that path right now. They've got 3 pretty big carriers as partners, United, Alaska, and Delta. They're all putting money into this company. They're all putting expertise in this company because they want to make it work. The big part of that is that if these planes work, those companies can fly planes for a lot cheaper. That's really important to those companies. They want to see it happen quickly.
It's a big deal. Thank you, Jack.
Absolutely.
It was the hottest day of the season. So far, 93 degrees out there today. And if you thought that was hot, just wait until next week. Over the weekend, high temperatures are going to be in the upper 80s to lower 90s. But next week, these numbers really soar. 93 Tuesday, 94 on Wednesday, and 95 next Thursday. I've got the low temperatures here, too. They're in the low to mid 70s every morning. And that's an indicator that the humidity will stay high. If you're not a fan of this humidity, I hate to break it to you, but I just don't have any breaks in the humidity in the forecast. We do see humidity fluctuate some during the summer months, which is no big friends coming our way right now. The Garner Tower camera looked pretty impressive earlier today as we watched a thunderstorm with a lot of lightning move in. Now the sun is out. It looks beautiful there. We are tracking a thunderstorm moving through Halifax County into Northampton County. It's relatively small, some heavy rain and lightning there, and just some spotty showers right now. They're very small in the southern part of our area. We have one tiny shower along I-540 up toward the border there as you head into Durham, but not much in the way of rain out there. Just a couple of summertime showers, a few rumbles of thunder in our northeastern counties. It's still hot though, 88 with a heat index of 95 in the Triangle. Fayetteville, where you've seen some rain, you've dropped into the upper 70s. That's going to be your only relief from the heat and humidity in the coming days will be if you see a thunderstorm set up over your house. Sunday for Father's Day, high temperatures are right around the 90-degree mark, both here and in Wilmington. Morehead City, even 87 degrees, Boone, 78 degrees, and we'll have a chance for thunderstorms across the state Sunday. But let me really talk a little bit more about that. It's a 90% chance in the mountains. That is where we've got the best chance for rain and storms during the day. They may hold off for us in central and eastern North Carolina until a little bit later into the afternoon and evening Sunday. Bottom line here, your weekend is not a washout any day, but there will be a chance for these scattered summertime storms each afternoon. We don't have any fronts nearby right now, but a front will get closer to us by Sunday night. Looking ahead to next week, the summer sizzle is back. High temperatures climb into the mid-90s. As for storm chances, we'll have some scattered thunderstorms each afternoon. It is not going to rain every day of the next 7. I encourage you, make sure you've got the new WRAL weather app. That way you can always check in on the dual Doppler 5000 radar. Dan?
Sounds good. Thank you, Kat. After the break, our one last thing and a few lasting messages from WRAL and Raleigh legend Charlie Gaddy. But first, we do have the weekend upon us, and school is almost out. It's almost officially summertime, and there's a lot going on out and about. Our one last thing for you tonight. It's something we were talking about a little earlier in the newscast. Charlie Gaddy died today. The man spent decades as an anchor and a reporter here at WRAL, a legend in this industry and a legend in this community. He was 93. Charlie covered news all over our area. Sometimes he traveled overseas even to cover news there. We want to show you two maybe of the most incredible stories that he covered. First, the 1988 tornado outbreak in North Raleigh. This is a storm that destroyed hundreds of homes, and Charlie Gaddy was there. He went out live on the scene. That same year, 2 armed men took hostages at the Robertsonian, a newspaper in Lumberton, and Charlie Gaddy called their newsroom and literally spoke to the gunman live on the air. This is a hostage situation that lasted 10 hours. Well, tonight we want to end this newscast not by talking about Charlie Gaddy, but by letting Charlie talk to you. Even after he retired in 1994, WRAL spoke to him on multiple occasions at public events and interviews and for special messages during the holidays. And we're going to leave you with some of those clips tonight, of those clips from over the years. Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. We're going to leave you with this. Messages from Charlie Gaddy on being a quality journalist and a quality member of this community.
This. When you enter the newsroom, you leave your ego, your opinion, your politics and religion outside the door, and you go in there and you do your very best to tell people the truth as you know it.
But I do have a New Year's wish for all of us. Let's be kinder to each other, more considerate of each other, and more compassionate about each other. We're going to face a lot of challenges in 2017, but let's meet them with kindness and gentleness. That's my New Year's wish for you and your family.
You follow the truth, and you're fair, and you just use your common sense. I do feel good about what I've done because I've seen things and I couldn't have imagined being a boy from Bisco. It was amazing, really.